think we just stepped into a new era of my content. Howdy there. I know it's been a bit since I put out a video on this channel. I just did not know what I wanted to do with the channel, but I think I'm figuring something out now. I'm not going to bore you with all the details because I know when I talk about this stuff I tend to ramble. So if you want to know more about that, I will be uploading a separate sort of update video to catch people up on that. After I record this, and it'll probably go up before this, but as of right now, this is all the explanation you're getting. Now, it's time to discuss something that, a band that has fallen from grace in recent years, and definitely is a hot button issue within the emo music community. Panic at the Disco. No longer a band. The only thing that remains is Brendan Urie and his massive fucking ego. But we're not here to talk about that today. Today we are here to definitively, 100%, no opinions, full correct facts, rank all of the Panic at the Disco albums from worst to best. So let's do this shit.
Here we go!
Alright, no surprise here, this is not shocking anyone. Viva Las Vengeance is their worst album. Shocker. Hard to believe that the album that is just Brendan Urie absolutely destroying his vocal cords, trying to hit high notes with shitty writing, pretty mediocre instrumentals and instrumentation across the whole project. Pretty fucking bad. It's without a doubt their worst album. I've heard people say that Pray for the Wicked is their worst, but no, not even competition, in my opinion. I would understand if you did like that album less. It's a stinker as well, but we're gonna get to that soon. As far as this album goes, it is more back to basics, more sort of rock influenced than something like Pray for the Wicked is, where that's more like pop leaning. This is definitely leaning a little more into the rock category, though not by much. Either way, do not recommend it. For all of these, I have went back and listened to these albums multiple times. This is the only album I could not bear to listen to more than once. I wish I could get that time back, dear God. And of course, coming in second last in the album ranking, Pray for the Wicked. Now, I remember the hype leading up to this album. I was excited. Everyone, like I saw online, was excited, ecstatic, ready to go for this album. Because it's Panic at the Disco. They're great. Who doesn't love them? Then it drops. First, Saturday Night and Fuck a Silver Lining drop. I thought those were both solid songs. Saturday Night was a really actually good continuation on This Is Gospel and Death of a Bachelor. Not Death of a Bachelor, I mean, fucking Emperor's New Clothes. That's one of my favorite songs of theirs. How did I forget what it's called? Dear God. But the music video is a great continuation of the sort of trilogy building up, and it's amazing. I like that song a lot. And the high note there is actually pretty sick, unlike what you get on Viva Las Vengeance, where Brendan Urie's trying to put on a horrible Freddie Mercury impression. But this is a shit album nonetheless. It's not as bad as Viva Las Vengeance, and I could stomach multiple listens, but other than a handful of tracks, there's nothing here that's really of any substance and worth listening to. If you're going to listen to anything off this album, Saturday Night is pretty good. High Hopes, while it is overplayed, it's not a horrible song. It's decent. It's good. I won't actively listen to it, but if it comes on, I won't skip it. Hey Look Ma, I Made It, unironically, kind of bangs. And I hate to admit that because I recognize that it's kind of a bad song. But other than that, nothing really worth listening to. The Overpass is painfully mediocre, and Dancing's Not a Crime is probably, in my opinion, one of their worst songs. So, stay away at all costs. Okay, now we're getting into the actual listenable albums with our third entry, Vices and Virtues. Now, this might be a hot take here, folks, but Vices and Virtues is a little mid compared to the rest of their discography. Now, it's not it's not bad. It's a good album, but it's not overly good. It's just above average. There aren't really enough really good songs to make you come back for this album. Nearly Witches is amazing. I don't think that's a debate. Hurricane is great. The Calendar, fucking Ballad of Mona Lisa, that slaps. Everyone knows that slaps. Sarah Smiles, great song, but Let's Kill Tonight. Almost forgot that. I love Let's Kill Tonight. But other than like that, like the rest of the album is just very it's painfully mediocre. And what's that one song that was in the goddamn Smurfs movie? Ready to Go? Jesus, I literally forgot the name of it. That's how much it passes through your brain and is just utter radio-friendly garbage. It's not good in the slightest. But other than that, this album is definitely worth listening to. It's not something I find myself coming back to very much, but on the other hand, it's not horrible. It's not horrible. It's a good album, but far and away from some of their best work. And now, we've finally made it, folks. The point at which I would recommend actively seeking out and listening to these albums. Death of a Bachelor. Now, I see a lot of discourse about this album online. There's some mixed opinions about it, but in my opinion, it's a great album. Every song on here feels like it has this sort of like energy that like nothing else the band has ever done like has put out. It feels like a great mix of like everything they had done up to this point. So many songs on here are just they feel so alive and fun and just unique in their own ways. Emperor's New Clothes is just some of the like one of like the how do I describe this song? It is one of the grittiest songs they have made, and it's not a gritty song, but that's Jesus Christ, my lighting. There we go. It's not meant to be gritty, but it's like I don't know how to describe it, honestly. Definitely more I don't even know how to describe it. Honestly, just go listen to it. Amazing song. I'm losing my train of thought here. Oh, shit. Don't threaten me with a good time. Banger song. It has a Rock Lobster sample. But it slaps. It slaps. That bass line is so funky, and every single line and little cheeky thing about being drunk that Brendan Urie just delivers in this album is just... it's so fun and unique, and just not album, but I meant the song. It's just so fun and unique. Crazy Equals Genius, Impossible Year, House of Memories. I forgot that blew up on TikTok recently. Whatever. Just great album. It's not their best. It definitely is a little weaker in spots than some of their other works, but it's a pretty good album. It's like I don't know. I wouldn't know how to properly describe it, but I would recommend listening to this one. It is definitely worth it. And now we're getting to the point of actually really, really, really fucking great albums. At this point, I feel like you could order these in any order, and I would not judge you for it. But my number 3 is going to have to be... I don't even know. Part of me is debating in my head just of like me wanting to put this album higher because of the recent like love I have for it. I've just been coming back to this over and over again these past few days, and that album is, I hate to put it this low. I really wish it could go higher, but Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die. Absolutely incredible album. Such a unique sound they go for on this album. In the past, Panic at the Disco have never really had their own sort of sound in the past. Obviously, they were inspired by other bands heavily, and this wasn't a bad thing. They definitely carved out their niche for, like, really, really good songwriting, and Brendan Urie, obviously an amazing vocalist. They carved that out and made themselves stand out despite having heavy influences, and I feel like that's what made them stick, along with the sort of aesthetics they were going for, and sort of theatrical vibe in the early days. It definitely made them stick out and made them unique, despite their sound not being as unique, though also a really good spin on what has already been done. However, this feels like their sound. This feels like their distinct sound, and they roll with it so well. Some of my favorites are Vegas Lights. I absolutely fucking adore that song, along with Colorful, Casual Affair, Girls, Girls, Boys. Every song on here is worth listening to. There is not a single skip, and that's going to be a trend with these next two albums as well, but absolutely amazing album for the sound alone and its uniqueness. It is number one, but I could not justify playing it over the next two albums. All right, and here we go, folks. It's the Blue Album or Pinkerton moment, the Panic at the Disco version. I see many people alternating these two on which is number one and which is number two, but for me, I used to hold the opposite opinion, but over the last few years I've come around, and number two is a fever you can't sweat out. It pains me because this was always my favorite album of theirs growing up. It was, I listened to it countless times. It was the first CD I ever bought, along with Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die. They were like, it was in constant rotation, and always an album I constantly came back to. Knew every single word on every song, and that's not an exaggeration. I even know all the long-ass song titles. I can't justify putting it over Pretty Odd. Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die is an amazing debut, and speaking of being inspired and everything, you can definitely tell that it's inspired by Fall Out Boy, what with like Ryan Ross and being a Fall Out Boy fan at the time, and obviously eventually getting signed to Pete Wentz's label. You can tell it has some Fall Out Boy inspirations. But, I swear to God, this lighting. I'm using my Switch for lighting. It's not as good as the next album I'm about to bring up, though it's amazing. The theatrical sort of vibe and aesthetic they go for, how the first half of the album is very, like, modern for the time, with very electronic production, everything, bringing in, like, you know what I mean? It's a very modern sounding album, at least for the time, for the first half. And it works really well. It sounds great. It sounds amazing. But then it sort of transitions into a more theatrical sort of feeling to it. I feel like this half of the album stands out much more than the first half. If the album if it was all like the second half, this would probably be number one. Because all of those songs on the second half are so good. But it's better if you do. I constantly thank God for Esteban. There's a good reason these tables are numbered, honey. You just haven't thought of it yet. And Build God, Then We'll Talk. Even though it may be overplayed, I Write Sins on Tragedies. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And it's just such a different feeling in the first half. But it works really well. It transitions into it very nice through like the intermission track and everything. It's great. Though, I will say my favorite Panic at the Disco song is on that first half. The only difference between Marty Drum and Suicide is press coverage. Easily my favorite Panic at the Disco song. It's on that second half, and I love it. Incredible, incredible song. And now, our number one, folks. Even though you literally know what it is now. Number one's Pretty Odd. It's pretty odd. It's gotta be pretty odd. It's so good. Lyrically, this is just easily their best album. Instrumentally wise, it's very much Beatles inspired, but I think the band did such an amazing job with that, and you can tell this is really the direction Ryan Ross wanted to take the band. And I feel like if they would have kept in that direction, we would have gotten so much better albums, though. We might not have gotten Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die, and I would have died inside. The only thing about this is, I hate that there's so many unreleased tracks from this era that we're never gonna get, and it pisses me off, but it's fine. It's fine. Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die is, I hate to say it, I hate to make this comparison, but it's Panic's Pinkerton. It bombed on release, it did not do well at all, but years later, it is without a doubt a masterpiece and one of their best works they've ever done. So many songs on here just, they put their own amazing spin on another band's sort of style again with this. And how unique this was for the time, being 2008 and them deciding to do a goddamn Beatles inspired album. it's just so wacky and zany and over the top that it just somehow works. Every song on this album is amazing. There is not a single skippable track. Fucking, I can't even think of names. I'm literally just brain farting right now, dude. Go listen to this album if you already haven't. It's definitely not one of their more popular albums, but it's amazing. And even to this day, it does not get the recognition it deserves. It doesn't get played. None of the songs get played on set lists live. Not even 9 in the Afternoon, which was a pretty big hit, does not get played live. My God, That Green Gentleman is such an amazing song, and Northern Downpour is just one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard. It's definitely one of my favorite songs that I've ever listened to. It's a great album, and one, if it doesn't, it's not a good representation of their sound. I would say something like Vices and Virtues or Too Weird to Live, Too Weird to Die would be a good representation of their sound. Despite how unique this is in their catalog, that's what helps it stand out to me, what brings it above all the rest. Just everything on it is so well done that it feels like they were meant to make this album. It feels like this is the sound they were meant to go with. Even though it's literally kind of the Beatles, but whatever. Who doesn't like the Beatles? Everyone loves the Beatles. They're fucking great. I mean, if you have any more ideas for artists I should do this with, go ahead and leave a comment. Go ahead and leave a comment down below. I think I'll consider it. I do read every single comment, obviously. I'm not that big of a channel, so it's not hard to do. So leave a comment, tell me what you think, tell me you hate me, tell me you love me. I won't reciprocate that love. You know, if you want to, you can do that. I kind of fucking hate you. Just kidding. We love you here. But yeah, I'm hoping to do more with this new direction I'm going in. So, yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Love you.